Hello and welcome. This is Cheryl. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're on day 12 of the Spellbinders Crafty Advent Calendar. So if you don't want to know what's in day 12, save this video to watch later when you do, because I'm going to open it up and I'm going to create a little project with it. I've also done the same thing for days 1 to 11. So if you haven't seen them yet, they will be in the same playlist as this video here. So in day 12, we have this adorable die set, and it's a little cocktail or little drink glass here. Now this one has several different pieces for the glass, so you can have fun with what you die cut out of to create that glass. And then it has a little citrus slice that you can put on the side of the glass. Now you could put it on there or you could leave it off. You could also get creative and make it look like it's a glass full of pop or milk or whatever. So you could really have a lot of creative fun with this. There's also a little straw there, which is absolutely perfect. The part there that sits inside of that cup, it is to die cut the whatever drink you're going to put in there. And then the citrus piece has two different pieces to it. There's a bottom layer and then a top layer that has a little bit more detail. So I die cut everything off screen, and I thought because there are those citrus slices, I would have fun with citrus, and I'm going to do like a lime drink, a lemonade drink, and then an orange drink. Now to make my glasses, I want them to be a little bit transparent. I want them to look like frosted glass. So I have a piece of vellum here. Now vellum does not do well with adhesive, in my opinion. Even vellum adhesive, you can still see it. So what I'm going to do is I am taking a quarter sheet of vellum here. It's about 4 inches by 5.5 inches. And I'm putting some Sookwang tape on it. It's a strong double-sided tape, and basically I'm going to make vellum stickers. Now this is my solution to vellum adhesive, because if the adhesive is over the entire back of it, then there's not going to be one area that you're just going to see adhesive. It's going to be over the entire thing. So this is what I like to do if I want to put some vellum somewhere and there's not something to cover up that adhesive. So I put my Sookwang on there. I made sure that it had good contact, and then I just used a X-Acto knife and a cutting mat to cut the excess off. I get my Sookwang in that roll there because ultimately it's the most cost effective. You could also get it in sheets as well if it's something that you're not used to working with and you're not really ready to commit to a whole roll. A sheet is, or sheets are a good way to start to try it out. So I'm going to make 3 different cups here. This cup has the glass part and then an oval part for the ring or the top of the glass. So I'm going to do both of those pieces out of the vellum, and I'm going to cut them 3 times. I'm not videotaping all 3 times because it's going to be fairly repetitive. To get the ring out of the glass, I used a die pick just to poke those pieces out. You do want to make sure that the backing of the tape stays on the vellum while you're doing this, because otherwise the more you touch that tape backing, the less it's going to stick. Now this is really good tape, so you have to take a tape or touch it a lot in order to make it not stick. But I'm always in the habit of, as much as possible, doing as little touching of the adhesive as possible. So I'm doing 3 different glasses here. You could do them all exactly the same if you wanted. I just thought it would be fun to do a little bit of color variation. And then to add a little bit of variety to those glasses or to those drinks, I'm also doing a little bit of ink blending. Now my pieces there are die cut out of Peridot, Beeswax, and Persimmon Cardstock, and I'm doing my ink blending in Mowed, Fossilized Amber, and Ripe Persimmon Distres ink. I also have a sentiment there that I die cut out of white cardstock, and I'm doing those same colors of ink blending on there. And that is from the day 4 sentiment set. It's the same one that I used in my day 11 video as well. I had it still sitting on my desk, and I figured it worked well with these cups as well. For my layers for my card, I'm just doing an A2 card base, and my one layer is going to be 4 inches by 5.25 inches, and my top layer is going to be 3 3/4 by 5 inches. Now I wanted to include the tri-colored ink blending on my mat. So I have the larger piece here. This is the piece that's 4 inches by 5.25 inches on my Altenew sticky mat. I love using this for ink blending simply because it holds everything in place, and there's very little chance that I'm going to get inky fingerprints on it if I'm not touching it to move it around. Now you can see that my mat is ink blended and stained and whatnot. I do try to keep it fairly clean. As soon as I'm done using it, I will wipe that ink off to minimize those staining, but it still stains. It still works just as well. I do regularly clean it with some warm water and dish soap to get any dust or anything like that off of it. And that keeps it nice and new. Doesn't prevent any of the staining, but as long as it is working well, I don't necessarily mind the staining. So I'm gluing all my layers together here. I'm using Barely Art glue. I have it in a fine tip bottle. This way I can use it for even the tiniest of die cuts, but I can also use it for my larger layers. And I always love using a large acrylic block to hold everything down flat while I am gluing other pieces. It just keeps my hands free for other things, and it keeps that everything laying flat and having some good contact. So I use it quite often. I'm going to glue down the drink parts of my cups first, and then I'm going to glue down those straws. Now I did lay down the cup part just to make sure that I have the right angle on the straw. I didn't want to angle it down too much, and then when I went to put my cup pieces on top or my vellum pieces on top, have the straw at a weird angle. It just not work. So I'm going to glue all three of them down on the same area of that cup. And as soon as I was starting to glue these down, I realized I had white straws on a white base, but I will change that up in a little bit. I'm going to use that same glue to glue down my sentiment. And you can see how regularly I put that acrylic block on there, holds everything down flat, and then I can work on something else. For the top layers of my citrus wedges, I used some cardstock scraps that I had, just darker colors of the colors that I had cut the bases of them. These die cuts are nice and small, so they're a great way to use up little scraps. They're perfect for using them up and then just getting creative with your colors. Now I did all citrus here, but there's no reason why you couldn't do pink, purple, and blue drinks and have citrus on the side of them. And I think you could have a lot of fun with different colors. Now that my straws have dried, I can put my drink cup pieces on. And like I said before, I'm just making stickers out of them by putting that Sookwang on there, so I don't need to add any more glue. I can just take that backing off and stick it right down. Now this tape, I've been using it for years and I absolutely love it. I've never had anything I've used it with turn yellow. And it's so strong. I worked at a scrapbook store for many years and had a customer that put molding in her house up with it because she got tired of asking her husband to do it. So it's really, really good tape and it sticks very well. And one of the reasons it sticks, or one of the ways it sticks very well, is by not touching that tape backing quite as much, which is one of the reasons why I'm in a habit not to do that. Now that the rim of the glass is on, I'm going to put those citrus pieces on there. And I am lifting up the bottom part of that rim so that I can tuck part of the citrus in there so it looks like it's tucked over the top of the glass. Once I do that, or once I do it for all three of them, I'll put that acrylic block down there and that will help them to dry. Now to make my straws look a little bit different from my background, I'm just using some Stickles glitter glue. It's a glitter glue in a small bottle with a nice fine tip, so you can get it even in the smallest of areas. I'm also using it for the darker areas on my citrus just to add a little bit of extra texture on there. Let that dry and we have an absolutely adorable card that really took not very much time at all to create. And I think you could have a lot of fun with the different variations to make with this die set. So I can see using it a lot in the future. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you tomorrow for day 13. Not sure what's in it yet, but I know it's going to be fun to create with. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. Have a fantastic day.